Hello, everybody, and a happy Wednesday to you all as we all await the election results in this country. Who knows who's going to win? What I can tell you is I think I have a good handle on ownership this week for the Houston Open. I don't know what one has to do with the other, but that is the world in which we live in. So, as you guys know, this is the third and final section of the Awesemo Golf weekly podcast series. And if you don't know, well, I'm letting you know now. And of course, I've added a video component to this as well, just to give those who do watch this content through YouTube a little bit more visual to it. And I'll be trying to move around my face and whatnot a little bit to try and get good positioning as we adapt in this new visual age. So let's jump right in here. And of course, this week it is the Houston Open. We only have one more week until we get to the Masters. I'm really excited. We've got 2 Millionaire Maker contests. Can't complain there, of course. A $20 buy-in, and then for the high rollers, $4,500 buy-in. But for those of you that want to try and get in the other way, there's plenty of satellites and qualifiers to get into that, so take a look at that. All right, let's jump in. The first thing we always do in this is we start off with the top 10 from Awesemo, the top 10 projected at least. It's got Dustin Johnson coming in at 31% this week, Tyrell Hatton at 22.5%, Scotty Scheffler next at 21%, Russell Henley at 21% as well, Hideki Matsuyama checking in at 19%, with Sungjae Im, Victor Hovland, and Adam Scott all coming in right around 15% this week for the top 10 projected from Awesemo. And of course, if you want full projections, join Awesemo Plus. It's a great time to do so, as I just mentioned, we have the Masters next week. So if you join us for the week, you're going to get all the pre-tournament stuff for the Masters. You're going to get all the Houston Open stuff, pre-tournament and in-tournament stuff. You're going to get that for just $8.95. You want to join golf for the rest of the season, which is 4 more weeks in the PGA Tour season? Join us for the month, $29.99. Great deals there. With that, you're going to get all of the ownership projections that I just mentioned, access to my model, access to Alex's model and projections, as well as our Slack chat and so much more. So join us on the Awesemo Plus side today. Okay, let's now go into our golfers here. And this is going to be the top 10, or I said 12 here. What I do is go down to 9,000 roughly, or 9,500, depending on how many people they put up here. The one golfer you cannot see is Jason Day. He's projected at 11% by me. He slides in down there. So let's start up at the top. Dustin Johnson this week. First time back, 11,500, clear-cut favorite in the event. Looks like ownership is trending that way as well. He's going to be about 30% owned. Tyrell Hatton, 23% owned. Scotty Scheffler somewhere in that range, Russell Henley. So a lot of these guys actually I just mentioned, Matsuyama, Hovland, Sungjae Im, Adam Scott, all of them I just mentioned, all going to be in the top 10 owned. That's not too much of a surprise, I guess, for this type of field. However, you are going to get at least 3, maybe 4 golfers under 15% owned this week, starting with Tony Finau at 10,900. I think that's an interesting play. And then Brooks Koepka's price, 10,600 in his recent health status, certainly is pushing him below 10%. It might be an interesting play there, as I wrote in the Against the Grain article. Of course, as you know, I write an article to accompany this podcast, and I mentioned that Koepka seems interesting at 8%. I don't know if I can trust him for any of my big dollar, but certainly in the GPP formats, coming in at only 8 or 7%, I'm going to look to get leverage there. Also, leverage spots. Looks like Sergio Garcia, and I mentioned Jason Day. It looks like they're going to come in around 10% owned, right around that 9,000, 9,100 salary. I guess maybe people don't want to trust Sergio. I mean, he's putting so much better. His off the tee game is incredible. Maybe they just think that, he's here because he's a Texas guy now. He married into it and he lives there and maybe just wants to support it. Not really sure, but decent spot for him. And then, of course, Jason Day, he's absolutely a withdrawal risk at this point. If he gets off to a bad start and, has maybe just a fingernail pain in his back, he'll be at Augusta before Jordan Spieth even tees off for a second round. So, yeah. There's that situation going on too. So that is the top end. Like I said, I think you're going to get leverage if you want, or I should say you're going to get under-owned or low ownership on Brooks Koepka, Sergio Garcia, Jason Day, and Tony Finau. Okay, now let's go to the middle tier section. But before we do, I'm going to remind you to smash that like button for me if you're watching this video. And of course, if you don't already subscribe to our channel, so that you can get access to when I put this out. Sometimes I do get it out a little bit earlier, a little bit later on Wednesdays. I can certainly assure you for Masters next week, it'll be out. Most of the stuff will be out early on in the week. So be sure to subscribe so that you can get notifications when we do come on. Okay, middle tier now. We're going to go. This is spanning from 9,000 to 7,500. We have got 20-plus golfers this week and 200-plus ownership. In fact, actually, the way I did it, 200 ownership is expected in each of the three categories. The top one only had 12 golfers. This one has just over 20, and the bottom one has 87. Top on this one, though, as you can see, it's really spread out this week, and that doesn't surprise me. Denny McCarthy looks like coming off of his third-place finish at the Bermuda is going to be about 10% owned. So is Eric Van Rooyen, Zach Johnson, and Alex Noren. Getting close to that, Siwoo Kim, Brian Harmon, Dylan Fratelli, Doc Redman, Taylor Gooch, Cam Davis, Lanto Griffin, Wyndham Clark. I'm still going. Harold Varner, Stuart Sink, and Mackenzie Hughes. Those are the guys that I had written down that all could get over 10% this week. Crazy. But that's how it's... When these fields come out like this, and we have a lot of these, I'll call them ranked 50 in the world to ranked 100 in the world golfers in this section, and maybe a couple of golfers that are playing above their world golf ranking, like Sam Burns. James Hahn, obviously, is playing way above it. So threw that out there. Still, you're going to get plenty of golfers the opportunity to get under 10% owned this week out of this section. I think you're going to start off with JT Poston. I think he's going to be that line that kind of starts it. Corey Connors is going to be there as well. Sam Burns, I just mentioned. Lee Westwood. Lee Westwood's an interesting case. He was one of the biggest discrepancies between my model ranking, which has him ranked in the top 20, and Awesemo's ranking, which has him ranked around 40th. And maybe that's just because the breadth of starts that Lee Westwood has had over here is just not enough. But anyways, if you're looking for more on who my model likes this week, check out my PGA model breakdown. That'll be out. Should be live by the time you're viewing this. If not, it will be out within the couple of minutes thereafter you view it. So, moving on. Lastly, we've got the golfers that I think will be at or under 5%. That's going to include Shane Lowry, James Hahn, Jordan Spieth, Emiliano Grillo. Wow, Jordan Spieth and Grillo. Man, Ben and I are going to go broke this week. And Phil Mickelson, who you can't see on this screen, a little too far out for my screenshot. Okay, so... top against the grain plays, I mean, you're going to have honestly, almost anybody at 10% or under, which means you can get 3x of pretty much anybody in this range and still be under 30% ownership. Last week I suggested that Wyndham Clark and Doug Gim were both heavy plays for me in this section or the section below. Ended up, 40 and 30% owned of them. I don't think I'll get up to 40% owned of anybody this week, maybe 30% owned. Will be the highest. I just find that this week there's probably a little bit more opportunity to get, 6 or 7 guys at 30% owned and get leverage because I think that it is more spread out. I think last week there were a few clear-cut guys to me that could have come out of the pack and did come out of the pack in that sense. So we'll look to do a different strategy this week, one that is more balanced and spread out in terms of ownership. Not balanced and spread out in terms of lineup building. I'll certainly still have my stars and scrubs lineup building, but regardless, I think you guys get where I'm going with this now. So let's take a look at this last tier, the bottom tier, which, of course, you can go and check out as part of the Against the Grain article and in my model. So if I go too quickly for you or you want to see who else I have projected, take a look. So still 87 golfers. I think we're going to get a bunch around 10% though, or at least close to it. I think Keegan Bradley is a good option for one. Sepp Straka, he's another option for a guy. Both them playing pretty well. Scott Piercy also has been flashing form. Maverick McNeely, he may be doing it with his putting, but he is still getting it done. He's going to come around 7%. Matt Jones coming off his best finish in quite a while, around 7%, as well as Luke List, Carlos Ortiz, Martin Laird, and Cam Tringale. I expect all of them to be at or over 5%. But then I suspect guys like Max Homa, Mark Hubbard, Adam Shank, Tom Hoagie, Danny Lee, Rory Sabatini, Will Gordon, and Jonathan Vegas, all to come in at 4 or 5%. I think they'll be pretty darn close. But, with 87 golfers or so in this section, we're still getting pretty good ownership. Aaron Wise, he's going to get a couple percent. So is Snedeker, Hostler, and Mitchell. So if you want your true against the grain plays, something like, 1 or 2% owned. There are certainly guys down there that are going to be able to do that. Somebody like Francesco Molinari, Andrew Putnam. Those are guys that I just highlighted as golfers that I suspect maybe in a year from now, or else I kind of am suggesting so that their price will be a lot different, or maybe that their baseline price is significantly higher than what they're projecting at now. So just a couple of notes there, but that takes us all the way through our ownership bracket or our ownership projections for this week. Of course, you can get all of the ownership projections in the field and in a little bit quicker, or I shouldn't say quicker, easier format than me just spewing it pretty quickly there as I get through this one in just about 10 or 12 minutes each time. So let's do a little housekeeping before we get on out of here. If you're looking for more content, as I mentioned, I'll have my model breakdown coming out here very soon. And then my betting video. If you're into that, I know this is an against the grain DFS video, but my betting video, 3-ball. I give you some matchups. I give you some other week-long bets. And I did have Wyndham Clark. Whoopsies. My mic fell there. I did have Wyndham Clark in it last week. So take a look. Maybe I can make it 2 weeks in a row. It's a fun, quick little video, probably about 5 to 7 minutes. So certainly if I can nail a 15-1, certainly worth your time there. And of course, if you're looking for a live show, Ben Raz and I, live before lock, 8:30 tonight, as we're going to break everything down. We're going to break down the waves, the weathers, any withdrawals that we get from now until 8 o'clock, and so much more. So until then, everybody, good luck this week at the Vivint Houston Open, and we will see you on the other side. Cheers.